tremendous achievement by this young man. If he can do this, there's going to be a lot of people standing instead of sitting in these grandstands. And this is his last possible lap. They're only allowed 12 laps to compete, so they're for qualifying positions on this day, so he's not allowed to do it. He's still going faster. He's still the man to do it. What a wonderful reception he'll get for this. Through bridge he goes, going towards Priory now, getting the brakes. Alan Prost missed the apex here. He didn't get it right. He had understeer, the car pushed, but he hasn't pushed. He's gone through, getting into Luffield now. Luffield 1 he is, Luffield 2, one more corner. As he gets down to the start finishing line, he's on it now. This is a big weight for Damon Hill. 19.134, he's done it. He's got pole position. Let's hope he holds it there. He'll have been now told, and look at there's a lovely Mrs. Hill. Isn't she happy? Wonderful.
Not only on pole, but Georgie has just been watching you with a tremendous smile on her face. You start the British Grand Prix in pole position, and that's the second race in succession. Congratulations. You must have put 20,000 people on the gate for tomorrow.
Sorry, I just walked another car because I'm talking to him, but I'd have to say I'm extremely happy. This means an awful lot to me. I'm going to do my very best tomorrow, and hopefully we can get the same result. David, I'm sorry, Alan has pipped you. Oh, Damon, I'm sorry. We've just given you the good news. Now the bad news, and that is that your teammate Alain Prost has beaten you by 1/10 of a second. So I'm afraid your joy was short-lived, but you are still on the front row of the grid. Well, Barry, what can I say? It's all ups and downs, isn't it, in motor racing?
Damon, that very quick lap that you did, do you know where you found the time? Was it because of adjustments to the car, or were you making an extra special effort, or both things?
Well, I think that in qualifying for something like the British Grand Prix, it just comes from somewhere inside, and you have to try and just take more risks and drive on a senior fan.
Damon, congratulations from everybody in Britain and all over. You start second on the grid tomorrow. Good.
Thank you, Murray.
Welcome back here on Eurosport, and Ayrton Senna has lost a bit of his bodywork, but it's the access panel on the top of where the spring damper units are mounted on the top of the chassis, and we've seen that happen. In fact, last weekend on one of the footworks it popped off as well, and in fact it looks more than just the access panel, because some of the cabling that is responsible for that ride height control mechanism working also appears to have become detached. So now Ayrton Senna is going to make it back to the pits very slowly indeed, and there is the offending panel lying somewhere around the circuit in the grass. It would have been blown up very high into the air. Probably if that came off and hanger straight, it's well, you can see it there, it's about 20 feet in from the side of the track, while teammate Michael Andretti pounds away, coming up into Priory Corner. And over the past couple of weekends we've seen the confidence that Michael Andretti has lacked, and also the commitment, beginning to re-emerge, and it's been a very awfully difficult season so far for Michael Andretti. And there now Ayrton Senna making his way back into the pits. Well, Damon Hill is the fastest driver so far here at the circuit. He's done 4 laps, and that's more than anyone else. Alan, you've been a test driver for both the McLaren and the Benetton team. Are there any distinct differences between those two?
I think probably the major difference between McLaren and Benetton is that McLaren have won World Championships before, and they know how to do it, and they go through the same process every year trying to win the World Championship. With Benetton, because they haven't done it yet, they are very, very youthful in their enthusiasm, and they work tremendously hard in an enthusiastic way to do it, whereas McLaren is very regimented in its way.
The people that have got this technology want to hang on to it, and the drivers that are driving for those teams probably want to hang on to it. Although that's quite strange, because I spoke to Senna about this, and he is quite happy to have a flat playing field and have the same cars basically as the others. And we don't want to get back to the charade of racing of the Indy cars, you know, where it's really like all in wrestling, which is a little bit, it's not really the way we go racing. So we don't all want the same cars, the same tyres and the same engine, and when somebody gets a big lead they put a car out to close them all up. That isn't racing. But what we really want to do is to stop the computer saying you've made a mistake and rectifying the mistake.
Bringing up the subject of personalities and indeed IndyCar, when you look around Silverstone this weekend, how much do you really feel Nigel is missed?
I'm sure in this country Nigel is missed a lot. I'm told the crowd's down on the pre-sales here at Silverstone, but whether that's due to the fact we haven't got Nigel with us or not, I don't know, or whether it's due to the fact we had a race at Donington early in the year and a lot of money went up the market. So it's difficult to say, but I miss Nigel. I wish he hadn't have gone. And I'd like to kick him wherever he needs to be kicked, perhaps before he went.
What do you feel about what he's achieving now, or the way he's performing now? Is it relevant in your mind?
No, and for him, I know he's not happy doing what he's doing, because he could wipe any of those guys out with literally with one leg chopped off and one arm. And he's struggling to get the job done, because, you know, as I said before, if you get in the lead, suddenly, you know, these yellows go out and things like that. He should have won Indianapolis, no doubt about it. But you've got all the guys out there are nearly old as me, I think. So it's not for Nigel.
How important is it to you and to Formula One to try and get him back, and are there any particular efforts that might be made along those lines?
I've made a lot of efforts this year. I tried to stop him going, because he should be here today defending his World Championship, which he would have been able to do quite easily. But I don't know now whether he's burnt too many bridges whether he can come back. And I doubt whether there's a seat available for him.
There's no doubt that what he's done in America has lifted the profile of IndyCar to a certain extent. Does that concern you? Do you acknowledge IndyCar as a genuine rival to Formula One?
No, it's a different, as I said, I mean, I think Formula One's like heavyweight boxing, you know, the World Championship, and IndyCar racing is a bit like all in wrestling. It suits some people to watch, and it's a form of entertainment, but I don't think the drivers get satisfaction out of it, because they know they win races not because they're the best drivers, because circumstances have been arranged in such a way that they can win.
Is it true that you've made efforts to try and get some kind of head-to-head contest, if that is possible, between Formula One and IndyCar to try and prove those points?
Well, Indy, you know, they go out and sort of misrepresent themselves a little bit, and they say they're the quickest cars and the quickest this and the quickest that. And I said, well, you bring 4 of your guys together with 4 of ours, and let's have a look and see. And it's the easiest way. And I said, I'll put up $5 million, and you put up the same, a winner take all.
Was that a bit mischievous or a genuine offer?
It was a genuine offer. I mean, I would do it now, but I don't think they could accept, because there's so much. I mean, they wouldn't be here. An Indy car wouldn't qualify here.
Other issues?
With Nigel in as well.
Yeah. Other issues around Formula One. You mentioned attendances down this weekend for perhaps particular local reasons, but a lot of people might have looked at ticket prices here, £105 or something, to sit in the stand. Why are prices so high?
Because this show costs an awful lot of money to put on. You know, it's expensive. But it's funny, because I looked at all of these things, and it's surprising how much other forms of entertainment cost now for what people actually get. I mean, for what you say, it's a lot of money, but it's 3 days of entertainment, and as I say, the show costs, if it wasn't for sponsors, it would cost the promoters probably £30-odd million to pay the teams to be here.
Now, is Formula One really as glamorous as it seems? We set about finding out this week by following Johnny Herbert's Lotus team from the French Grand Prix at Magny-Cours last weekend, right here to Silverstone, the events of the week. The reporter is Ray Stubbs, and Johnny himself sets up the week first of all.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's always good to be at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. The crowd is always very good and behind the British drivers. I think we should all do very well. I'm looking forward to it. We've got a good race set up, which we always seem to have, and it can't get any worse than it was in France.
But a great cloud of dust, somebody off. It's a Lotus, so it's got to be Johnny Herbert, because Sandro Zanardi, his teammate, has already gone out on lap 4. It's lap 17 now, so a very early end for Lotus. They've had a lot of handling problems with the car in practice, so it looks like a repetition of that, and it's a dreadful weekend for the Lotus team.
That's fine, lovely. Yep. Now we need 2 more straps.
Johnny Herbert, what has been the problem with Lotus in the last few races?
Well, we've been trying to, with the active suspension we've got, we've been working very hard, trying to get enough grip from the car, because basically that has been our biggest problem. So we're going to keep on trying.
And hopefully we will actually get the speed back.
Well, it's the British Grand Prix at Silverstone next weekend, and it's pretty important that you do well there. Is it going to be your sort of track?
Yes, I think it'll be my sort of track. It's good to be at your home Grand Prix.
Right, thanks very much, Johnny Herbert.
I think the best trip to do is the one you come back when you've won. That's always nice. You know, it's a nice feeling that you've gone and achieved what you set out to do. I hope one of those trips will come up in the not too distant future.
Lotus had been in pole position for a quick getaway from France, and they returned home realising they had to reignite their stalled season. 2 opportunist fourth places had come early on. Since then, nothing. Monday was a day for reflection and a short time out from Formula One.
There was one off drive, which was an absolute cracker this morning.
For sure, the team were depressed, but they were determined and undaunted.
We don't suddenly change direction when we have a bad weekend. It's important to keep the philosophies going. We have a technical program to develop the car. We're pretty clear now what the problems are. We are testing in the next couple of days, concentrating on the particular problems we know we have. We have a large number of things that we are steadily working through that we believe will address the problem.
The strategy for the week was quickly mapped out. In Formula One, continual trying and testing is the method used to solve problems. And it was by early on Tuesday the Lotus had their troublesome active suspension system at the track on the rack.
Sometimes testing are more important than the race, because if you don't fix the car, you can't race well. So, yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
We've got a handling problem. The car has a rear instability on entry to the corner, and we tried a number of things and so far been unable to solve the problem. So it's the mainstay of our work at the moment.
Inspiration may well have been found in the office of the late Colin Chapman. Chapman was the architect of Lotus and masterminded 7 world championships in the 60s and 70s. As a mark of respect, his office will be unused until the team are back on the podium.
All the time that you're at Lotus and you're working at Lotus, you are constantly reminded of the achievements of Colin Chapman and of the truly great cars and drivers that really made Team Lotus over the years.
Then from there to about halfway down the corridor is Jim Clark. And I mean, that really does say, you know, the sort of foundation stone of teams.
And the Lotus Wall of Fame includes not only Jim Clark, many other world champions. Graham Hill, Nigel Mansell and Ayrton Senna, to name 3, have driven for them. There's wall space reserved for Johnny Herbert. At Lotus HQ, they think he could join the same company.
That's me. Hello. Hello, Frank. How are you? Brundle, Warwick, and Blundell, and McCarthy. Having a game of golf.
Yes, well done.
I don't want any advice from you boys. You throw a bit of grass up in the air or something.
Yeah, look pro. Your aim there, mate. Where I went. Yeah. Yeah. That is the hole over there, isn't it? Keep on the green bit. Oh, what?
Oh, yeah. Stansted.
It was good that we got all the guys together to actually have a game of golf. We all play golf. If we actually play it good enough, I don't know. The way I played today, no. And it's good that we can actually get together as friends and, you know, talk about normal things, get on the golf course, have a lot of fun. And it's really nice, and it's relaxing as well, because you get away from all the pressure of the Formula One circus, and then we can just get on, say, with normal life, you know, like normal people do.
Thursday was the day to get serious, but even as the Lotus mechanics were setting out their stall, the vital work was being carried out elsewhere. It was early in the evening the results came through.
We've been testing the last couple of days at Snetterton, and we think we may have made some significant progress. We've tried a number of things. They appear to have made the car much, much easier to drive. We'll find out in the next couple of days whether it's, you know, made the car faster. The car is on its way here now with the installation. The mechanics have got a reasonable night's work ahead of them. They're going to convert the other race car to a similar spec tonight. We've just bought all the parts for that. It'll be a reasonable night's work, so hopefully it'll be ready in the morning.
We've been pretty down just recently, and we need something to get us going again. You know, it's been a bit miserable the last few races. I mean, we all want to see the team do well, but it does get you down a bit sometimes.
The news of a technical breakthrough immediately lifted the entire team. So much so, no one complained at clocking on for yet another night shift.
We left here about 3:15. It's about, I don't know, 20 minutes to the hotel. And we were locked out.
It took us a good 10 minutes to get in.
So just had a quick shave so you don't have to do it in the morning. And
Slept in.
yeah.
Oh, get back, sorry. Oh, having a go. I caused a bleeding crash.
The Lotus drivers were very keen to get out onto the track. At last, maybe they'd have a fighting chance of challenging the big boys.
Johnny, we'll do these couple of outlaps, 2 or 3. We'll give you the hour after 2 anyway. See how you feel about the car. You can decide how long to stay out. I think it is worth just doing the one-time lap, George, just to get the time on the board, to be honest. Okay, go out, go really careful, all right? Because people are spinning off all the time.
This awful weather is a dreadful disappointment for the Lotus team. After France, they went away to Snetterton to test the cars, and they thought they'd found the solution to the problem. But because of the appalling conditions this afternoon, Johnny Herbert is currently running in 16th place, and his teammate Sandro Zanardi is down at 19th, and it really looks as though they're not going to be able to improve.
The only thing we can probably say is that both drivers feel there's quite an improvement in the car, and to some degree, you know, you've got to start from scratch in learning how to drive the car. So, yeah, some good signs, but I don't like days like this. You don't get a real indication of what you can do. Hopefully we'll have a dry day tomorrow, and then, you know, we'll get a better indication.
prayers answered. Sunshine, a dry track, and both Lotus drivers roar out to really put their cars to the test. And it was to prove to be an eventful day.
And that's Sandro Zanardi's Lotus, and this is dreadful for the team. And that for sure means that he'll have to use Johnny Herbert's Lotus to try to qualify this afternoon.
The cars had been going well. It was a crash Lotus could have well done without.
And it was really, really hard. I mean, because I jumped over the sand and the car didn't reduce the speed at all, you understand? So I went boom like that. Actually, with my helmet, I probably broke the dashboard.
The final qualifying session followed within 2 hours. Every driver knew he had one last chance of securing a high position on the grid.
Good luck, Johnny, and I want you up there first 6 today, all right?
I'll have a go.
Okay, Johnny.
Is everything working on the car okay?
Yeah, everything's fine.
And this really is fantastic. Look at Johnny Herbert. He's flying in the Lotus. It's like a fairy story come true. It really is working. All the work that the Lotus technicians have done is paying off. Johnny Herbert has run as high as 4th in this session, and he's going to finish well up, no doubt about that. But he's getting in his 12 laps quickly because he's got to hand his car over to Zanardi for him to qualify.
But despite that, Johnny Herbert finished 7th fastest. And although he was still shaken, Zanardi finished 14th. After months of frustration, at last, Lotus could smile again. There was a fresh confidence throughout the team.
I said at the beginning of the year that I felt the car was really good and it was going to be a race winner, and it was getting a bit embarrassing on the track because it just wasn't anywhere but near doing anything like that. And we've come here and I think we've actually proved that it wasn't just a load of talk, it was actual, what we was planning to do, and it's doing it on the track, which is the main thing.
Qualifying has gone well for Lotus, and they'll go to the grid to race with renewed vigour.
We're going to hear from both Prost and Senna now. Prost, first of all, he was talking to Murray Walker yesterday afternoon.
Alan, everybody in Britain is naturally looking at Damon. And you said this afternoon in the pit lane that all this nonsense about team orders was not true. Can you elaborate on that a little?
Yeah, I think it's, in fact, if I was talking about the bad part of Formula One, it's one of the problems we have, and I have personally, because I'm always in the center of some problems. I don't feel responsible, and I really have enough of that, because also with the press sometimes, I can understand that one journalist, for example, could find a story, I can understand that, but why everybody is taking the opportunity to do and to say exactly the same, and what happened, with them, and we have no team orders. But you must understand that for the team it's also important to win a race, to win a championship, to win the Constructors' Championship. So they don't want, we need to be, professional, so not to do stupid things. So there will be some race tactics, For example, at Manicourt, because I was first, he was second, and the last few laps, we just decided to reduce the speed. And I think that is correct, because motor racing is not only a sport, unfortunately sometimes, but there is a lot of investment, and these people, can you imagine if we crash the French Grand Prix the last corner, last lap, it would be a uproar. Yeah, it would be unbelievable, it's the same here. But there's no team orders. I've heard first that Damon should win the race. He has to win the race because I won the French Grand Prix. That is stupid. That's not sport. Also that he is not allowed to win the race because of the championship. That is also stupid. What is true is there won't be team orders, but for sure maybe at the end of the race there will be some orders to keep the position we are at the end of the race. So it's going to be tough.
I'll tell you one thing I've noticed with the Williams team this year, and that is there is a much better ambiance. There seems to be a much happier relationship between the two drivers, yourself and Damon Hill.
In fact, also I can't compare with last year, for example, a few years, but a lot of people told me that it was sometimes a bit difficult and tense, you know. And I think because we have a very good relation, Damon and myself, and I don't know if it's only that, but the ambience in the whole team is very good. You know, only one thing is, Damon and myself, we really wanted to test a lot in the winter, and every time the team is asking us to test, okay, no problem, when is the next test, and the next video, okay, we'll be there Monday. And you know, it makes the life very easy, and it looks like some drivers last year, they did not want to test at all, so it creates some problems. I mean, all small things, but at the end, the ambience is very good, you know.
What does the fact that Senna has now signed for the rest of the season with McLaren mean to you? Are you happy or disappointed as a rival?
No, I'm very happy. Honestly, when I heard last week or 2 weeks ago that he could stop for 2 or 3 races or even do not sign for the rest of the season, I was very disappointed because in a way it's very bad for Formula One and also bad for me because it's my main rival for the championship. Maybe not at the end of the year, maybe Schumacher will become the main rival, or maybe Damon will become the main rival. You never know what can happen. There's a lot of races still. But he's also a star in Formula One, and you miss him. If he was not there, that would not be as good for me anyway.
Alain Prost, who starts from pole position this afternoon in the Williams. Now Ayrton Senna, for whom it's been a competitive and rather challenging season in the McLaren. He'll be starting from the second row, from directly behind Damon Hill this afternoon. He was in rather reflective mood when I talked to him on Friday. At one time, he'd even been thinking of taking this season off.
I am at the top of my career, you know, in terms of age, health, and momentum, and you can't just put away 1 year and then think you come back at the same level. You could do, but there is a risk, and you have to find a way of living with it in the best possible way and make the best of what you have built up all those years. I could have been out of this year's championship at the last minute. In the end, together we thought it was worth having a go with the team. I pushed very hard for that to start already from South Africa, which wasn't planned. You know, it was planned that I would miss perhaps South Africa, and just happy that we did the way we did because it proved to be the right decision for me and for the team. And I'm learning still, and I'm finding the ways of coping with some of the aspects which are not so good of my profession, and trying to increase the good ones to make them stronger. Therefore I get more of a good feel for it, and I am more motivated and strong as ever.
Good feeling about Silverstone as well. You enjoy this place? Won here in '88.
I really love racing in England, and this is simply because I started racing here many years ago, before Formula One. I won so many races, championships in this country, all over the country. I have made friends here, and I have made also lots of fans. So I have really, by far, good memories standing in my mind from England. So Silverstone I only won once, but it was good enough. You know, I had a great victory, and I hope I will win a few more before I'm not here anymore.
And Gerhard Berger before Alessandro Zanardi in the second moment. So the waiting for the 2 minute signal to be given. Tyler is still on mostly a broadcast track to keep the cars up to the best working temperature and speculating about who will be first into top four. A few years ago they changed the top position of Silverstone for the Grand Prix from the right-hand side of the circuit to the left-hand side. Racing director there, Pierre Monnier, who celebrated the birthday, the number of which we haven't been has disclosed to us. It was his birthday on Friday, but Pierre Monnier is the former secretary of the Racing Club, and now the race director of the British Grand Prix. In control there, the front of the grid. Instructions to the officials. In a moment, say, here's the giving what we hope is tuned into Akkoy Holly second time, which is 13:58 and 32 seconds. And Prost then and Damon Hill, they pole position change from the right to the left. And the man in front having that advantage with his staggered with consistent strongly racing for many years now, so he has an
After months of hard work and meticulous preparation by the British Racing Drivers Club, Silverstone is in great shape to start the second half of the season, albeit with a forecast of showers during the race to spice things up a bit. This is where the power races begin, the ones where horsepower is the name of the game. And because of that, the dominant Williams Renaults have to be the favourites for a sixth win to extend their championship lead. To signify success, they carry a victory emblem. 5 of them for championship leader Alain Prost, none yet for Damon Hill, who's third in the championship behind Ayrton Senna, but today could see his first. And there are 4 British drivers in the top 7. But Alain Prost wants to increase his lead over Senna to more than 12 points. As the Williams team leader, will he be favoured for a 6th win over Hill? He says no, and Damon Hill agrees. It's man against man in identical cars at Silverstone, provided they both finish.
That's fine, thanks a lot. I've got plenty there.
Damon certainly tried in qualifying. It looked like his second successive pole position until the closing minutes, when Prost snatched it away from him.
I'm surprised that he managed to beat that time, but you know, it's not for nothing. He's won 3 world championships. You know, he's obviously he's got a lot of promise. Alan has.
All 5 British drivers start in the top 9. Martin Brundle, 4 times a point scorer this season in his Ligier Renault, qualified 6th, 3 places ahead of his teammate Mark Blundell, who showed true grit to qualify so well after his colossal crash.
Johnny Herbert's Lotus has been off the pace for the last few races, but intensive testing this week seems to have nailed the problem. 7th on the grid is his best this year by far. And veteran Derek Warwick's happy too. In his footwork Mugen, now with active suspension, he starts an excellent 8th on his home track, looking good for yet another British Grand Prix.
Super start by Damon Hill. Prost has got a bad one. Senna's coming up alongside the Frenchman, and Damon Hill leads into Copse. And up into second place from 4th on the grid goes the incredible Ayrton Senna ahead of Alain Prost. Schumacher is 4th, and off. That looks like Andretti off to me. He's done it again. Yet again he has failed to start properly, and he is out of the race almost as soon as it's begun. Andretti having a terrible season. He's used to starting rolling starts in America, but never mind. Here comes Hill down the hangar straight in the Williams Renault, leading Ayrton Senna. Now, is the Brazilian going to be able to stay ahead of Prost? Because Prost has undoubtedly got more horsepower in the Williams Renault than Ayrton Senna in the Ford, although Senna, don't forget, is using the more powerful pneumatic valve engine from Ford, as the Benettons have been this season. But Hill is taking the opportunity to extend his lead, and Prost has got to get past Senna to get to grips with the Englishman. Schumacher is in 4th place, Brundle is in 5th place, Riccardo Patrese is 6th in the Benetton, and Prost is going to have a go as they come through to complete the first lap, but he's not going to succeed. They're into the left-hander of Priory and Brooklands, then the 2 right-handers at Luffield, to the completion of lap 1 with 58 to go, and Patrese is closing up on Alain Prost with Brundle behind him. There's Schumacher in 4th position. So it is Williams Renault leading. It's McLaren 2nd, Williams Renault is 3rd, then the Benetton 4th. In 5th position there's Brundle, 6th is Patrese, 7th is Johnny Herbert, 8th is Alesi, 9th is Blundell, 10th is Alesi, 11th is Derek Warwick, and the rest of them go pouring through. A great start, Jackie.
Very, very good for Damon Hill, because here he's got a situation which is fine, but we've got a shot of Andretti here having his problem in the very first lap. He comes into Copse and you got it right wrong, absolutely losing it in reverse through into the gravel pit. The race will be over for him. He cannot get out.
Well, Senna, who had problems getting the setup of his car right in the warm-up, seems to have worked the oracle, and you watch Alain Prost closing. Now, this is where he's going to make his effort. Senna knows and moves across with Prost. And that's Ayrton Senna in front. Now, Ayrton Senna is perfectly entitled to go anywhere on the circuit that he wants to, provided he does not blatantly weave his McLaren Ford. He is in front, so he can take the line. And if in doing so he can block Alain Prost, so much to the good as far as he's concerned.
The other thing that Alain Prost will be thinking about is aerodynamics. The air behind his car gets spoiled, so therefore, as far as Senna's concerned, he's got no air problems, but Alain Prost does have air problems. When you're this close, your front wings don't work so much as he looks. He can't do it there. It seems to me that Senna's a little faster through here. He was faster through in the last lap. You can see that Alain Prost is losing a bit there, and he's therefore not getting the chance in this next straight, which is Hangar Straight, to slingshot Ayrton Senna. Although he gains on him, and Prost has to keep his eye on Schumacher. He's not a threat at the present time. He won't do it there. The best chance is into bridge for him, but whether Senna will give him the space is another matter. This, in the meantime, of course, has given Damon Hill, and there is Andretti walking back, very upset. In the meantime, Damon is, of course, using this to his advantage. He's pulling out this handsome lead, which, of course, then Prost would have to try and catch if he does get past Senna, which I'm sure he will.
and just let's enjoy this battle for second. Senna on the right, Prost in the blue and white and yellow Williams, behind both of them the yellow and green Benetton of Michael Schumacher, and Prost is going for it, and he's done it! He's done it! He hasn't! My goodness, he hasn't! Wow, that was very, very fraught indeed. Did you see the way the Williams got out of shape there? Senna's not having any of that. No, you won't, he says, and retains his second place. And because of that, Prost lost a bit of momentum, and Michael Schumacher is right with him, and Senna has slightly extended his lead over the Williams Renault. And I have little doubt that Damon Hill will be further ahead of all of them. We're with Schumacher. Let's watch this and see what happens. We're with Michael Schumacher pursuing in the Benetton. The light comes on, incidentally, on the dashboard when the rev limiter starts to operate, and he just flicks the gears and changes them. There he goes again. Damon Hill has got on lap 6 out of 59. These three are holding each other up. Prost goes for it again. And yet again, Senna closes the door, politely but firmly. Senna ahead, we're with Prost. And the fastest lap so far, Damon Hill, 1:26.71, compared with the lap record, 1:22.5. But as I always say, it's early days. They have almost a full fuel load as Prost right up to Senna now as they come to bridge. This is the incredible 160-mile-an-hour corner, and we're looking back from Senna at Prost and Schumacher. Cameras on Senna's car, on Prost's car, and on Schumacher's car. Second, third, and fourth. I'll have it now, says Alain Prost. I think I'm going to take second place. I don't think you are, says Ayrton Senna. Yes, I am. This is absolutely sensational stuff. Just look at Schumacher behind them too. This is the best scrap in the leading places that we've had all season, no doubt about it.
I think Alain Prost is going to be a little upset, in fact, because I think he feels now that Ayrton was cramping him there on the way through. He almost had the pass. I think sooner or later, as we see it now, he's just made that pass very strongly. If he holds the tight line in, he's okay. And Schumacher now is obviously in a position to threaten Senna. Schumacher will incidentally be much more aggressive on Senna than Alain Prost was. Schumacher's younger, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, full of enthusiasm. Ayrton Senna may have got his tyre temperatures a wee bit up, and there you're with Schumacher getting close to Ayrton Senna. And watch this young man, he's going to give him a real push, and he has done it. He's gone through. No, he hasn't. They were side by side. You can see the correction that Schumacher had to make. He was surprised, looking behind from Ayrton Senna's car. Very good picture of Schumacher. Schumacher not hitting the curb, being very clean. There's a reasonable chance he'll get Senna, but look at the advantage already taken by Prost. He's just in the distance. There he is there. He's a long way ahead. Really, Ayrton Senna was holding him up, also holding Schumacher up. It's a question as to now whether the young lion can have a go at the three-time world champion master. I think he'll pass him, and I think he will have a go at him more aggressively than Alain Prost did.
So now here we are, down Hanger Straight into Stowe Corner. Very different from the old days. It goes right much longer than it did. Then sweeps left into the Vale. A little drop, then they climb up to the second gear left-hander as Michael Schumacher has a look. Now into the right-hand section of the corner, up into third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, sixth gear, building to 180 miles an hour for the sweep left at Abbey Curve.
He's going to have a go at him here, almost certainly going into bridge. He's going to have a go. Can he do it? No, he can't. It's just too fast there. Senna's not giving him enough speed. He doesn't have the momentum to do it, but that's the place he would like to have done it. However, it is, of course, the most dangerous place to choose to do it. So Ayrton Senna, enormously experienced, of course, with pressure, but not always from behind. Schumacher, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, as I said earlier, but he's lost time, you see, by that attempt to pass. He's dropped back a little bit. What a nice fight this is, though. The young man with the professor in front, he doesn't want to give a place away. Both driving those identical Ford engines now. Since McLaren now have the latest engine, there is no excuse. And I think Ayrton Senna, by the way, is driving this car harder than Schumacher right now. If there was going to be a tyre change coming up sometime, I would expect it to be Senna's.
And Damon Hill is extending his lead. He's now 8.25 seconds ahead of Prost, and this is Schumacher taking third place as forecast by J.Y. Stewart. Schumacher goes through into third position with a supreme passing manoeuvre, and Ayrton Senna, who has gone from second to third, has now gone from third to fourth. Now, can Schumacher do anything about the Williams in front of him? Berger is dragged back into the pits, and we're with Hill, and Damon Hill is starting to lap people now.
Well, I think Alain Prost won't be giving this away, Murray. I think that Damon Hill's had a wonderful advantage, and it's almost been a little bit of a present for him that the Ayrton Senna saga went on with Alain Prost, but Damon has wisely taken advantage of it to the tune of more than 8 seconds. I do think that Alain Prost will start to be able to stand on it a little bit. There he is, he's got nothing to lose and everything to gain. He's one of the smoothest drivers. Let's just watch him. He hardly ever touches a curb. He hardly ever uses more than the black tar rather than getting onto the white curbs on the exits of corners. This type of driving of precision, Prost is the master at.
Well, we've seen what happened to Michael Andretti from an outside point of view, but Jonathan Palmer, I think, can tell us more about it. Jonathan?
Yes, Murray, I had a quick word with Michael, and he said it was really a racing accident. He said nobody touched him, he got wide, his tyres were cold, the back came round, and he got on the marbles, he lost grip, and then ultimately went off.
This is, by the way, another battle that's taking place right now. Derek Warwick is under some pressure from Blundell right now. Warwick, in fact, has been much higher and has been passed systematically by Johnny Herbert and then by Martin Brundle, and is now under threat by Mark Blundell. But just going back to Prost again, this could be his 50th Grand Prix win this weekend if he does win it, but I'm sure Damon Hill is going to try and avoid that.
So this must be Senna coming in. This must be Senna coming in. And I remind you that 3 times world champion Ayrton Senna is in 4th position, a long way now behind Michael Schumacher as you watch Alain Prost, 6.2 seconds, and Senna is coming into the pits as I talk to you behind Boutsen. He won't be at all happy about this because Boutsen is cruising in and Senna will want to come absolutely flying in. We're with Senna now, up to his pit team. Under goes the jack, the hydraulic jack lifts the front of him. One mechanic cleans his visor. There are mechanics on every tyre. What a stop! 5.1 seconds for Ayrton Senna. Wow, that is terrific. third position. Fastest time we've had so far, 5.1 seconds to Ayrton Senna. And is Schumacher going to lose time here? Well, he's lost 0.4 of a second as he lights up the rears and goes for it down the pit lane. This British Grand Prix at Silverstone is turning out to be really something. The leaders now are on lap 27 out of 49. You look at Ayrton Senna coming through and completing his first lap after his tyre change. Damon Hill is leading Alain Prost. They're matching each other lap for lap. The times are coming down.
And Alain Prost is in fact coming into the pits. He's in the pit lane right now. Now let's listen to Alain Prost coming in. He's dropping down the gears very automatically. When he brings it in, he'll knock it into neutral. And let's try and listen to that engine. It idles at 3,000 revs. Alain gets a little more nervous than Damon Hill on this respect. When he puts the foot on it, he's got to go right to the floor right now. Easy acceleration out of there. 8 seconds, which is rather a slow pit stop in comparison to the McLaren, but it was very important for him to keep the revs up. He was pulsating the revs earlier this season, and if you recall, he stalled the car in the pit lane in Monaco, and he did not floor it when he left. And the idea is to keep them at least 3,000, which is the idle speed, and then put the pedal to the metal all the way when you leave the pit stops to give the engine a good clearance out. But there he's got new rubber on right now, wiping his own visor there on the way down.
Now Damon Hill should come in on this lap because Prost is out on new rubber. That will give him an advantage, and Damon Hill will want to minimise that advantage by coming in immediately after Alain Prost. Prost's pit stop is out of the way. I remind you that it took 8.02 seconds, and Damon Hill is coming into the pits. We are into the pit lane now with race leader Damon Hill on lap 30 out of 59, and the target time for the Williams team to beat is that of Alain Prost tyre stop, 8.02 seconds. Stop with Damon Hill now. Start the clock. The board from the lollipop man in front of him is telling him to keep his brakes on, and that's it, 7.6, and that means to say that Damon Hill has actually gained 0.4 of a second, and there is Prost. As Damon Hill exits the pit lane, Alain Prost comes down to Copse Corner, and he's going to be just a few seconds behind Damon Hill, but where Alain Prost took the lead on the pit stop in France, Damon Hill has retained it here at Silverstone, and that's great news for the Englishman. There is the Frenchman, Alain Prost. Schumacher is 19 seconds behind him. We're looking back at the London Rowing Club colours of Damon Hill, and that is Alain Prost in second place. That is the gap between them. And the battle is joined. 29 laps to go. Schumacher is still in third position. In fourth position it's Senna. Fifth is Brundle. Sixth is Patrese. Seventh is Herbert. Eighth is Blundell. Ninth is Warwick. So Hill, Brundle, Herbert and Blundell and Warwick are all in the top 9 places on lap 31 out of 59. And there is Ayrton Senna on target at the present moment for fourth position, 3 points. And here's a problem, Badar being passed by Andrea de Cesaris. Oh, and once again, Andrea de Cesaris, I don't know whether it was his fault in quotes or not, but he bangs wheels and through goes the Sauber Ilmore, and past de Cesaris, who lost momentum there, goes Badar again. I take my hat off to Damon, because this is indeed pressure. To have
Alain Prost behind you and to have narrowed that gap, because although Damon Hill's pit stop was slightly faster, the entrance and exit from pit lane must have been slightly slower to bring him down to what it was when they rejoined the race properly. Prost again having done fastest lap, as you could see. He really is a man of tremendous determination, but to keep this pressure on Damon Hill is a great virtue for Hill to recognise after this race is over, and I sincerely hope he's able to do this. A race that his father never did win. It would be wonderful for Damon to get his first, and I'm sure of many, Grand Prix victories here in front of his own hometown crowd. As Bador comes off, obviously a mechanical trouble of some kind.
And now Alain Prost is really charging. He's just gone round 1.3 seconds faster than Damon Hill and closed the gap to just over 2 seconds. There's Hill, he's being held up. No, he's not. Mark Blundell moves out of his way. Is he going to do the same thing for Alain Prost? Because the Frenchman now is right behind the Ligier Renault, and you're seeing now the drivers who are in first and eighth and second positions, with Mark Blundell being sandwiched between the two Williams cars. He politely moves over. Mark Blundell in 8th position behind Johnny Herbert, Riccardo Patrese, who is in 6th place, and Martin Brundle, who is 5th. Senna is 4th, Schumacher is 3rd, and you watch the battle for the lead between Damon Hill and his teammate Alain Prost, as Hill bears down on Thierry Boutsen's Jordan Hart. Now, Thierry Boutsen is certainly off the boil these days, and he hasn't shone in the Jordan Hart. And Alain Prost has taken the opportunity now. Damon Hill has got to get past Thierry Boutsen quickly, because if he doesn't, if he misjudges it, Prost will be able to take both of them on lap 37 and take the lead. Now this is crucial for Damon Hill. He's out of Boutsen's slipstream, so is Prost, and behind them is Mark Blundell, who has been lapped. They go into Stowe at over 100 miles an hour. And the safety car is out. Now this is going to absolutely transform the race. It looks to me as though it has come out to enable the race to be slowed down so that they can recover Luca Badoer's Lola Ferrari, which is in a place of danger. Now that means to say that they will all concertina up behind the safety car. Its lights are flashing, and when they see those lights stop, they will know that at the end of that lap the safety car will be peeling into the pit lane and the race will be on again. Prost, you see, moving right up behind Damon Hill. Watch the safety car. Those yellow lines indicate where he's going to pull in. He pulls it, and the races go. And across the line go the two Williams Renaults as one, followed by lap to Mark Blundell. And Prost now is going to go for that lead at this point. But Damon Hill already has increased the gap very slightly between himself and Alain Prost. This is Damon Hill's supreme day. He's on lap 40 out of 59. If he can hang on until lap 49, if my understanding is correct, they will hold station for the last 10 laps. We'll see.
The problem for Damon Hill is now whether he can stand the pressure that's going to come from Alain Prost right now. You remember the last time that the safety car came out was Brazil, where in fact Damon lost that race under those circumstances. But a more experienced driver such as Alain Prost, when the race has restarted, usually would be expected to have a slight advantage, a slight edge, because of his knowledge, because of his experience, because of his coolness. He doesn't seem to be able to take it right now, because if anything at all, Damon's opened that gap out just a wee bit. The slow corner there of Priory allowed Prost to get a little bit closer. Watch him here. He lets the car run into the corner very nicely. He has an ability to take the brakes off very easily before he gets to a corner. But I think Damon Hill's taken it. I think Damon Hill's now almost got the right pace for it. Whether he can keep it up for those last laps that we're about to see before so-called the arrangement comes into play is another matter. You're looking, of course, forward from the car of Alain Prost as they go through the Beckett's connection, as it is, because it's one corner immediately after another corner, getting on to Hanger Straight, and Damon has, Murray, an advantage that I think he must be reasonably pleased with, certainly more than he had the lap before.
But there's still some time to go. This is lap 42. We're with Ayrton Senna now, and he's gesturing at the Lotus driver in front of him, and that is Sandro Zanardi, who is in 5th place. Senna is 4th, and there's an engine blowing it. It's Damon Hill. What can I or anybody say? Damon Hill's Renault engine has expired on lap 42 of the British Grand Prix, and the Englishman is not going to win. Well, his body language says bitter disappointment, and you can understand that. Alain Prost goes into the lead, 7.3 seconds ahead of Michael Schumacher, as Frank Williams impassively looks at the bank of television monitors in front of him. And I can just imagine what's going through Damon Hill's mind now. What have I got to do to win a Grand Prix? Leading on the 42nd lap, and if there's one thing that the Renault V10 engine is famous for, it is reliability. And still Damon finds time to wave to his fans. He must be nearly in tears, I should think. Well, there's a support, but Damon would have been far happier if he could have been seeing those Union Jacks, and Zanardi is out of the race as well. So that brings the retirements up to 8 of them. Now let's have a look again. Where's Damon in front? Alain Prost pulls out to pass him as the Renault engine lets go. Most unusually, as I've said, and a great plume of smoke marks the end of Damon Hill's 1993 British Grand Prix. This is the battle. All through the field it continues, and the battle now is between Senna, Brundle and Herbert for 3rd position, and you'll be able to see in a moment just how close to each other they are, because there's Ayrton Senna, and we're with the McLaren now. He is on his 45th lap. He's a couple of seconds and less now in front of Brundle, who is 4th, Herbert, who is 5th. Now, there is Senna. Behind him is Fittipaldi, who has been lapped. Behind him is a Lacey, who has been lapped. There is Martin Brundle in the blue and white Ligier, who's just lapped Zanardi and Boutsen. And Herbert is behind Thierry Boutsen. And while you're watching this, I've been watching the times between Schumacher and Prost on lap 48. They're down to 5.2 seconds. That's because Schumacher has just gone round 1.3 seconds faster than Alain Prost in the lead. Now, is the Frenchman just driving a canny race and calling it? I would be surprised on lap 48 out of 59.
Well, he has a way of being able to pace himself probably better than most other drivers, and I think he'll be watching that pace very carefully. Some of that may have been while we were watching the progress of Schumacher. It may have been that Prost had some traffic to deal with. I don't think if it comes to push and shove, it'll be difficult for him to speed up where necessary. 5.2 seconds for me, however, would not be personally quite enough. I'd like to see a little bit more air between myself and the man that I was getting a little pressure from. Schumacher, as I say again, because of his youth and exuberance, tends to drive very, very hard, where Prost is that little bit more mature. Down to 4.8 seconds now. That's the gap between Alain Prost and Schumacher. Schumacher still being very smooth here. For his age, he's extremely mature, and there you can see both cars. Prost was actually cocking his head over just as he came onto that straight to see if he could see Schumacher's car in his rear view mirrors. Schumacher coming through there, that Stowe corner, double apex. There you see Alain Prost, slowest corner of the track, down to second gear. Schumacher, I believe, is a great star for the future. We're going to see a lot more of him, because I don't think Alain Prost will race for so many more years. Whether if Senna races for a lot more years to come, who knows? But you have to look to see who's going to take over the mantle. The mantle at the moment looks as if it would be taken by this man.
And Mark Blundell has spun it to a standstill, but rejoins 7th position. Mark Blundell in the second of the Ligiers. Here it is again. Mark Blundell just loses at a Priory corner and spins off safely. And Brundle goes now. Herbert's attacking. And Herbert's taking Patrese. Is he? Ricciardo refuses to give way as they go round the left-hander at Abbey. Herbert attacks again as they come up to the 160-mile-an-hour bridge corner. Brundle is still in that 4th position, 4th, 5th and 6th. You look at them now, but the 3 ahead of them are pulling away. The battle between Fittipaldi, Alesi and Barrichello for 10th, 11th and 12th places is easing away from this battle for 4th position. Brundle has got it, and Herbert goes for it again as they come up to Woodcote. Patrese is up alongside Brundle almost, and Brundle has got Johnny Herbert right behind him. Wow, into Copse. This is 5th gear, 160 miles an hour, lap 54. We haven't forgotten the leaders, don't worry. Prost is still ahead of Schumacher by 5.5 seconds. Senna is still 3rd, 38 seconds behind Schumacher. And still Brundle versus Patrese versus Herbert. Ligier versus Benetton versus Lotus. Renault engine versus 2 Fords and through. And Brundle's in trouble. Brundle's in trouble. Something's happened. The Ligier is stopping. Johnny Herbert moves up into 5th position. Riccardo Patrese moves up into 4th place. And now he's pulled clear and he's closing up. But this is Johnny Herbert's chance, because Riccardo Patrese is closing up on the Barrichello-Alesi battle in front of him. And this, if Johnny Herbert plays his cards right, he could get through and take what is now 4th position from Riccardo Patrese. Poor old Martin Brundle. That's tough luck for Martin Brundle. He's driven another fine race. That's his 5th retirement of 1993. Derek Warwick has been left, but he's in 6th position, and if Derek Warwick stays where he is now, it will be the first point that the footwork team have got this season. They did the whole of the first half of the season without any points at all, and if Derek Warwick finishes there, it will not only be his return to the points in Grand Prix racing, and very well deserved too, but it will be his and the team's first point. Well, Jackie, can you see anything stopping Alain Prost now? He's on his 57th lap in 59, and he is nearly 10 seconds ahead of Michael Schumacher.
I think it's just the master at work. I think he's paced himself perfectly. Of course, I think the great fortune of the trouble that Damon Hill ran into has given to Alain Prost this race in a very easy manner. I wouldn't have expected him, in fact, to pass Damon. I think Damon had the race. So I really take my hat off to the young man. I'm sad for him because I would like to have seen a name of Hill on this trophy for the British Grand Prix. His papa never did win the British Grand Prix, and it would have been nice for Betty, I know, who must be here today, as well as Georgie, to see Damon Hill win this, which he could easily have done. And there you see him right now speaking to Frank Williams. Clearly they know what's going on there, because the telemetry, which feeds about 1,000 impulses in every time the car passes the pits, 2.5 seconds worth of unloading.
Down in the pit lane, Damon Hill is talking to Jonathan Palmer.
Damon, that was simply appalling misfortune. Can you tell us what happened?
Well, I pushed very hard after the safety car pulled off, because clearly there was nothing in it between myself and Alan for the last 20 laps. So it'd be important to push as hard as possible to make a break. And just coming out of club corner, it made a noise, and I lost all power. And I think it was a mechanical failure in the engine.
No warning at all prior to that? The car was running well?
Yep, fine, yep.
And do you think, I mean, you were looking in great shape, you seem to be holding Alain, you made a good charge, as you said, after that stop. Were you confident you could have held him off to win your first Grand Prix?
Well, I was giving it a damn good go, and I could see him slowly dropping back. I mean, he was right on my tail at one time, and then as I looked in my mirrors, he was maybe 2 seconds back. And I knew that I'd have to put in a good 5 or 6 really hard laps to make a break on him, and I never got the chance to finish it off.
Prost is into the Vale and up to club corner for the 59th time in this 59-lap British Grand Prix at Silverstone, and he is about to win a record 50th Grand Prix, the first Grand Prix driver in the history of the sport to achieve an incredible half-century of victories, and that will be his 6th win this year. It will extend his lead in the World Championship over Ayrton Senna. It will raise his World Championship points level to an incredible 766.5. But as far as he's concerned, they're just numbers, and Alain Prost wins the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, sees the checkered flag, and will be as delighted as he always is to win a race. Ayrton Senna now, is he home for the full? He hasn't crossed the line. We're still waiting for whoever it is who's going to be third to come home. And it looks as though it's going to be Riccardo Patrese. The Italian is going to have a rostrum position at the British Grand Prix. And Benettons are going to finish 2nd and 3rd. And Johnny Herbert is going to finish in 4th position. And that is official. And Senna will be classified 5th because he'd already lapped Derek Warwick. So another brilliant victory, his 50th for Alain Prost ahead of Michael Schumacher, his teammate Riccardo Patrese and Johnny Herbert, with Ayrton Senna finishing 5th, a lap down ahead of Derek Warwick. And that means to say that in the Drivers' Championship, Alain Prost is now 20 points ahead of Ayrton Senna, but Michael Schumacher is closing the gap on the Brazilian. Damon Hill down to 4th position, and a tie between Martin Brundle, Riccardo Patrese and Johnny Herbert for 5th position. And in the Constructors' Championship, Williams are now 45 points ahead of McLaren, who scored just 2 points today. Benetton third and Ligier in fourth position, with Lotus up to fifth place in their comeback race, ahead of Ferrari.
Sponsored this year by Auto Trader.
What I was able to do, in fact, I was able to catch him. Was quite far at the beginning because I missed the start again. Was 8 seconds behind and was able to catch him and to be just behind him. But to overtake a car here, it's quite difficult. He was driving quite well. I think it would have been very, very difficult to overtake him. I just wanted to go until the end, like this, behind him, and just wait for the right opportunity. But I don't think it looked that I would have had one, you know, and would have been difficult.
Presumably the team would have radioed through Damon's problem. Did this give you further cause for concern?
I saw his problem. And I was wondering if he was pulling more revs or something, and I didn't know what to do, but I slowed down quite a lot. But when I slowed down, I mean, Michael was pushing behind me quite hard, and then it was more and more difficult. I think because I slowed down, maybe the tires pressure were a little bit low, and it was more difficult to go fast and fast at the end, but I was able to keep the pace anyway.
Alain Prost, a 5 times winner at Silverstone, making the acquaintance yet again of His Royal Highness Prince Michael of Kent. Prost's first win on this track back in 1983 for Renault. Presenting the trophy for second place to Michael Schumacher, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Kenneth Clark. So Schumacher in second place and Riccardo Patrese coming home in third. All in all, an excellent weekend for Benetton.
Unfortunately, Alain could make up the pace again at the end. I thought there is maybe a little problem with his car as well after Damon blew up, and I was pushing really hard. I mean, I couldn't do anything more, but was not able to come closer than 4 seconds, and then he started to push a bit harder. But I believe the performance from the car is really great, and I'm quite happy. We have now both cars in the first 3, and I think there's a good result.
A close champagne battle on the podium, with the drivers seeing more of each other than they did when they were on the track. For Riccardo Patrese, his best finish of the season.
Yes, I'm very pleased. Really, this is the first race that I enjoy very much this year. The car went very well, and it was really very busy the last part of the race after the safety car, because lap cars with me, Brundle, Herbert, they were really quite wild, I should say. So it was quite interesting. I'm very, very happy, and also because the team had a little bit of passion. The first part of the season didn't come really very right for me, but I hope now that is a new start for the second half.